She handed my sister a business card at my graduation, then turned to me and said, "You're just not ready yet," in front of everyone. I stood there with my cap slightly tilted and my heels digging into the grass, pretending not to feel the heat of humiliation climb up my neck. The applause still echoed around us, but none of it was for me anymore. It was supposed to be my day. The moment I'd been building toward quietly for 4 years, instead. My mother made it about Sophia. Again, I saw her pull something from her purse, a small white rectangle, and my breath caught. For a second, I thought maybe it was for me, recognition, belief, a chance, but her hand extended toward Sophia, not me. I watched my sister's eyes light up as she turned the card over and laughed in surprise. My mother beamed with pride. "Sophia," squealed, "you're serious?" And Mom nodded, all calm and composed. "You've earned it," she said. Then she turned to me, her voice like a glass of water thrown in my face. "You're just not ready yet." Her smile didn't match her words. That hurt even more. "They humiliate you," in soft tones, with perfect posture and polite phrases. "But it still bruises." My aunt chuckled nervously. My cousin looked away. Even the photographer paused. I felt the diploma in my hand like it weighed 100 pounds, and still I smiled. Because I was taught early that crying only makes it worse. I posed for photos beside them, smile tight, shoulder squared. I kept thinking, maybe she didn't mean it that way. Maybe she was trying to motivate me, but no part of her voice sounded like love. It sounded like hierarchy, like control. Later, in the car, I looked down at my lap and realized my hands were shaking. I clutched the program from the ceremony like it could anchor me. My name was printed on it, honors, distinction, but none of it made a difference in her eyes. She didn't ask about my job interviews. She didn't mention the offer I was about to accept. She asked if I'd be free to help Sophia move into her apartment next week. "She could use your organizational skills," she added, as if I were a calendar, not a person. To her, I wasn't a daughter with dreams. I was a to-do list in comfortable shoes. I got home that night and placed the diploma on my desk. No frame yet, just the parchment, still curled at the edges. I stared at it, trying to feel proud. Instead, I felt erased. I wanted to scream, to tell her how much that moment broke me. But there was no space for that in our family. Feelings were fine as long as they didn't inconvenience anyone. Instead, I took a sticky note and wrote, "You are ready." I placed it on the mirror. My handwriting looked shaky, like even my pen didn't believe it yet. I opened my bag and saw the program again. Tucked behind it was a parking stub, $16. I had paid to be humiliated in a gown that didn't fit quite right. And yet, I still wanted her to call the next day, to say she was proud, to say she was wrong. I waited for that call all night. It never came. You don't mourn what they gave someone else. You mourn what they told you you'd never deserve. I was always the quiet achiever, the one who followed the rules and stayed out of trouble. High grades, perfect attendance, model citizen, but in my family that didn't make me special. It made me invisible. Achievements were expected, not celebrated. My sister Sophia was the opposite, charismatic, impulsive, the center of attention whether she was ready or not. Mom thrived on Sophia's unpredictability. It gave her purpose, direction, control. I was reliable. Sophia was exciting. When I was 16, Mom gifted Sophia a car for her birthday. I'd been saving for a vehicle since I was 14, working weekends at the coffee shop. She smiled and said, "Great choice." But I never got the same offer. My savings were for college, not celebration. You work quietly behind the scenes, but you're not the star of the show. Mom surrounded Sophia with mentorship, opportunities, praise, college visits, internships. Her first business card, all before she even graduated high school. For me, a pat on the shoulder and a suggestion to find balance. Our mother-daughter conversations were always cordial, but shallow. "How's school?" she'd ask. I'd offer details and excitement. She'd nod before changing the subject. For Sophia, those conversations contained next steps, strategies, investments. By my junior year of college, I was balancing 2 jobs, full-time classes, and internships. I asked Mom for help with a laptop. She hesitated, said I could invest in myself later. For Sophia, a brand new MacBook for her design classes. Favoritism isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just consistent. At every family milestone, Sophia got ceremonies and celebrations. I got dinner at home. I graduated high school with honors. No banners, no dinner, no moment. But Sophia, A surprise party with extended family, social media posts, gifts. When I left for college, I felt proud until Mom cried. "No one will take care of your sister like you do," she said. As if I was a safety net for Sophia, not a person. With dreams of her own, they depend on your stability, they reward their predictions. I supported them financially throughout school, rent contributions, grocery runs, gas money. I never asked for recognition, it wasn't in my nature. But I hoped for a nod, a smile, something. Sophia failed a class one semester. Mom rushed to her aid, paid for tutoring, approved a gap year, posted on Instagram. I never failed. I didn't deserve a post, nor an apology. Now, at graduation, as everything changed, I realized I wasn't the daughter who was ready. I was the daughter who did what was asked and didn't deserve their investment. I was raised to be the foundation under their stage, never the one standing on it. Looking back, the signs were never hidden, they were just dressed up as compliments. "Eleanor's so independent," they'd say, but what they meant was, "She won't complain when we ignore her." I was praised for being low maintenance, for never needing much. Meanwhile, every tiny achievement of Sophia's was treated like a revelation. She got medals for trying. I got silence for winning. In group settings, Mom introduced Sophia with flair. "She's got a real creative spark. Just like me with me, it was. Eleanor's reliable. She'll figure it out." No warmth, just duty. They disguised the favoritism as personality differences, but it always felt like love measured in scarcity. At birthdays, Sophia got speeches, candles, crowds. I got practical gifts, a coat, books for class, and no card. Once, when I asked about it, Mom said, "You don't like attention anyway." Every time I expressed sadness or frustration, I was met with confusion. "But you're the strong one," she'd say, as if feelings were a flaw I wasn't allowed to have. Sophia could crash, cry, spiral, and be scooped up with understanding. I learned to cry alone late at night, behind a locked door, so I wouldn't be told I was overreacting. They don't say you're not worthy, they just make sure you never feel seen. When Sophia launched a podcast about her creative journey, Mom made everyone share it. When I published a research piece, she said, "That's nice," and changed the subject. At family dinners, if I offered an idea or correction, it was dismissed. When Sophia interrupted me, Mom laughed. "She's just passionate," she said. I once got a job interview at a firm Mom admired. When I told her, she asked, "Did someone help you get it?" As if my own merit couldn't possibly be enough. Their doubt wasn't always spoken, it was implied in every shrug. During one holiday, I gifted Mom a framed photo of us from my childhood. She smiled briefly, then passed it to Sophia. "You'd love this frame," she said. I sat there, forgotten, holding the empty box. Even on social media, the imbalance was public. Posts about Sophia's brunches, outfits, spontaneous thoughts. Me, I'd be cropped out, if posted at all. The business card moment didn't come out of nowhere. It was the final chapter in a book I'd pretended wasn't being written all along, and now that I had read it cover to cover, I couldn't unsee the ink. The week after graduation, I tried to push it down, the scene, the comment, the business card. I told myself it wasn't personal, but the ache in my stomach every morning said otherwise. I heard from friends whose parents cried when they crossed the stage, sent flowers, planned dinners. Mine, a quick lunch where I paid the bill. Sophia ordered dessert. Mom didn't say thank you. Then, 2 days later, it got worse. I got a call from an HR director at my mother's company. "We received your resume, but unfortunately there are no openings," she said gently. I hadn't applied. She submitted my name, then told them not to hire me. I found out through a friend who overheard her in the hallway. It felt like being disowned professionally behind my back. Not only was I not ready, she made sure no one else believed I was either. I confronted her, calmly, over coffee. "Did you tell them not to bring me in?" She didn't deny it. She just stirred her tea and said, "I know what the company needs. You're not there yet." That sentence broke something in me I didn't know still existed. She didn't think I failed. She needed me too. Sophia posted a photo of the card that week. "Big things coming," the caption read. My diploma was still on my desk. No frame, no caption, no like from Mom. Then, the group chat. An invitation from Mom to a launch dinner. For Sophia's first project under the company, everyone was going, everyone but me. No explanation, no seat saved, no apology. I watched the dinner unfold through Instagram stories. My name was never mentioned. I was less than invisible. I was edited out. They celebrated her future by erasing my present. That night, I sat on my balcony, the business card image still open on my phone. I closed it. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I finally realized it would never stop if I didn't. She didn't humiliate me because I wasn't ready. She humiliated me to make sure I'd stay small. I didn't get out of bed the next day. Or the next. My phone buzzed with notifications, graduation pics from others, Sophia's promotion, group messages. I silenced them all. The world moved. And I lay still. I tried to write a resume update. I opened the file, stared at it, closed it. What was the point? No matter how I shaped the words, none of them changed the story she had already told everyone else. I skipped meals. Not in protest, I just didn't feel hunger. My energy evaporated like steam. I existed in rooms, but I wasn't living in them. It wasn't just rejection, it was erasure with a smile. I kept replaying the moment at graduation like a looped clip, the flash of the card, the way she turned toward Sophia, the sound of my name going silent. Even my dreams weren't safe. I dreamt of being at a party I wasn't invited to, watching everyone else toast to a future I wasn't included. I started declining calls, stopped replying to texts. When a college friend asked if I was okay, I said I was just busy. The lie tasted bitter, but honest words didn't feel welcome. It's hard to explain the kind of pain that makes you feel imaginary. One morning, I walked past a mirror and didn't recognize myself. Not just physically, emotionally. I had always been the composed one, the one with plans. Now I felt like a version of myself I wouldn't hire either. I wrote a message to Mom, not to accuse, but to explain. I deleted it before sending. What would I say? That her favoritism cracked something that might never heal. Sophia messaged me, "You coming to the company retreat?" I stared at the screen. She didn't even realize I hadn't been invited, or worse, she did and thought I'd come anyway. There's a special kind of loneliness when you realize your family believes your silence equals acceptance. Eventually, I left the apartment and went to a bookstore, not for anything in particular, just to remember what air felt like outside of expectation. I picked up a book on branding. Ironically, something I could have excelled at in the company. I skimmed a page that said, "You can't wait for someone else to name your value." I froze. It wasn't dramatic. There was no spark of inspiration, just stillness and a question that wouldn't leave. What if I stopped waiting for her to see me? That night, I pulled out an old sketchbook I hadn't touched since sophomore year. It wasn't much, just drafts, doodles, color palettes, but it reminded me that I had ideas too. Things I never pitched because I assumed no one would listen. I remembered one of my marketing professors pulling me aside after a class project. "You think like a strategist," she said. "You see things long term." I had brushed it off. Now I clung to it like a raft. I made a list, not of goals, but of things I'd done without her help: jobs, internships, scholarships, volunteer campaigns. I filled 3 pages before I even realized my hand was cramping. Her silence had never been proof of my failure, just of her need to stay in control. I went through old emails. One from a recruiter popped out, someone who had reached out months ago. I had ignored it, thinking I wasn't ready. I replied, not with hope, but with curiosity. They called the next day. A video interview turned into a panel call. A week later, I got an offer. A small firm, but growing, creative freedom, a starting salary better than anything my mother's company ever offered. I didn't tell anyone, not yet. I let the joy sit with me first, like a secret garden only I had the key to. It was the first time I didn't feel the urge to prove it to her. You stop needing approval the moment you give it to yourself. The apartment felt different now. I started rearranging things. Framed the diploma, tossed old notes from college, bought a whiteboard and wrote one sentence: "I am not waiting for a seat at their table." I went to Sophia's launch party, not as a guest, but as an observer. I stayed 10 minutes. Long enough to see the poster with her name, the card design I had once drafted on my laptop, with no credit. And then I left. Outside, the air was cold and sharp. I walked alone but didn't feel lonely. I felt detached, like I had finally stopped begging to be noticed. She had erased me so many times. I finally started over on a new page. When I got home, I ordered my own business cards, not to hand out, but to hold, a reminder, a symbol, my name, my design, my choice. I didn't plan revenge, I planned silence, and sometimes that speaks louder than anything else. I stopped sending updates, stopped commenting on family posts. I became the ghost in their digital life, present but unreadable when Mom texted. Asking if I was still looking for opportunities, I replied simply, I'm doing fine. No resume attached, no explanation, just space. The silence unsettled her more than any confrontation ever could. Sophia reached out next. Want to grab coffee and talk shop? I declined, politely. No excuses, just no, thank you. It was the first time I'd ever said that without guilt. They expect you to orbit them forever. The moment you leave their gravity, they panic. I got business cards printed with thick matte paper. Minimalist, elegant, just my name, my title, my personal site. No logo from their world, just mine. The firm flew me out to their headquarters for onboarding. I walked through their glass doors knowing no one in my family would ever know this version of me. And I didn't need them to. 2 weeks in, I led a campaign pitch. My manager asked if I'd ever considered taking on a leadership role. I blinked. You have presence, she said. People listen when you speak. It hit me. They silenced me for so long. I forgot how powerful my voice could be. At home, I framed one of my new cards beside the diploma. Side by side, proof that my worth wasn't conditional on their validation. I didn't attend the next family event, a cousin's engagement party. Mom texted me the day before, will we see you? I didn't respond. She followed up with a period, not a question, a sentence. A command. I left her on read. Then, one afternoon, a package arrived, from my mother inside, a crisp white envelope and, unbelievably, a card, her business card, blank on the back, no note. It was the same gesture from graduation, only now. It felt pathetic. I didn't throw it out. I slid it into a drawer and placed my own card on top of it, not out of spite, but as a quiet reminder. I had rewritten the ending. She gave my sister an opportunity with her name on it. I built one with mine. 6 months passed. My phone was quieter, but my mind wasn't. For the first time, I was building a life without their voices in the background, and it wasn't empty, it was peaceful. I got a new apartment, small, but mine. I painted one wall, a muted gold, placed the diploma and my card side by side above a minimalist desk, my own corner of the world. The company sent me to a conference in Chicago. I was a speaker. My panel. Branding beyond the name. I opened with a quiet smile and said, sometimes your name isn't recognized until you write it yourself. Forgiveness is just letting go of the hope they'll ever understand. After the talk, a woman came up to me, shaking. You made me feel seen, she said. I nodded. I knew exactly what she meant. That night in my hotel room, I looked out at the skyline. My phone buzzed. Mom had posted a photo of Sophia at another event. The caption read, so proud of our legacy. I didn't flinch. I no longer needed to correct the narrative. I was writing my own. They expected gratitude. I delivered distance. I mailed something to my mom the next week. A single card, my business card, no note. Just that, the same shape, the same weight, but entirely mine. She never replied, and that silence, that old, familiar silence, finally felt like mine too. At work, I was promoted. I started mentoring interns. One of them asked me, how do you deal with being underestimated? I smiled and said, you stop waiting to be invited. My chair had been empty, so I built a new table. I revisited the graduation venue one day, just passing through. I stood at the edge of the field where I once felt so small. The wind lifted the edge of my coat like a bough. I pulled one of my old sticky notes from my purse. You are ready, it still said. I left it on a bench, a message to any girl who might sit there next. She gave Sophia a card to inherit a legacy. I gave myself a card to create one.